Tonight, new details on the hunt for the world's most wanted drug lord and the Hollywood twist that may have led authorities to El Chapo's hideout. And a special San Diego partnership bringing the zoo to young cancer patients, the animals who may help with the healing process. And looking down from the heavens, the man who fell to earth, remembering legendary life and career of David Bowie. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Susan Murphy. San Diego County leaders and emergency officials have been assessing their response to last week's El Niño-driven storms. They gathered today at the San Diego County Office of Emergency Services to urge the public to prepare for the next round of rain.
We've had a big week, as all of you know. That's kind of behind us, but we've got probably more coming.
Brace yourselves for the potential of 3 more months of El Niño's relentless wrath. That's the message San Diego County Supervisor Ron Roberts and others are urging a week after heavy downpours barreled into the region. Flooding, erosion, power outages, and traffic snarls resulted from El Niño's first punch.
Today is about reminding, reinforcing, and probably the most important thing, planning.
San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer says city crews last week responded to 500 storm-related calls, and firefighters and lifeguards performed 67 water rescues. He says crews will continue to be deployed to high-risk areas ahead of future storms. He's urging the public's help.
Please follow all instructions by our public safety personnel. Take your time, drive carefully, particularly in the rain and during some of the surges that we have.
People are also advised to have an evacuation plan with at least 2 route options and an emergency kit, especially those who live near recent burn areas or below a hill or canyon. Holly Crawford is director of the county's Office of Emergency Services.
As the ground becomes more and more saturated and we get later and later in the rainy season, we are more susceptible to debris flows and landslides.
Crawford is urging everyone to register their cell phone with the county's mass notification system at readysandiego.org. Students from the Dehesa school district enjoyed a storm day today. Schools in the district was closed today to allow more time to clean up after last week's El Niño storms. Some schools suffered major flood damage to buildings and grounds.
Disappointed that we couldn't move into our new building. This community has worked really long and hard with passing bonds, and this has been a dream of this community for a long time, but know that it's better to wait until everything is safe.
Officials say schools will reopen as soon as possible. All other school districts are operating according to their regular schedules. San Diego property owners who sustained damage during the storms last week are getting some tax relief. County officials say they can have their property assessment lowered to reflect their new condition. The lower assessments will remain in place until the damage is repaired. San Diego is enjoying a break from last week's super soaker storm system, and it should stay dry for now. Steph Davis has more in tonight's KPBS weather report.
Happy Monday, everyone. We're enjoying a fairly quiet weather pattern across much of the Golden State, especially here across Southern California. Satellite and radar just showing some cloud cover, a couple of sprinkles earlier on today across Northern California, but no real systems to worry about as we head throughout the day. And taking a closer look around home, you'll notice clouds breaking for clear skies across the San Diego area with largely dry conditions. And this quiet weather pattern will remain in effect as we head into tonight. So we're looking at clear skies in Borrego Springs with an overnight low of 33 degrees, back into the mid-20s and dry tonight in Mount Laguna, 47 with mainly clear skies in San Diego tonight, just a couple of patchy clouds. Looking ahead to our Tuesday, a whole lot of dry air in place coupled with a strong ridge of high pressure, allowing for a tranquil weather pattern across much of Southern California, pressing towards the Four Corners. Now you'll notice we do have some rain and some mountain snow starting to press into Northern California, and that's associated with a frontal system that'll continue to slip south as we head into the day Wednesday. Probably not going to reach us here in San Diego. If it does so, it'll be mostly in the mountains and the higher elevations where we will catch a couple of clouds and showers. The bigger story weather-wise for your Tuesday will be strong rip currents and minor coastal flooding. And so the National Weather Service has put out a high surf advisory for all of us Tuesday, especially for the southern parts of San Diego County. So definitely want to exercise caution if you're heading out to the beaches, especially if you're planning on swimming. Again, we do have those strong rip currents in place. Here's a look at your 5-day forecast for the coast. Mostly sunny and nice on Tuesday, high 65. Will remain in the 60s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with sunshine. More clouds building into Saturday, but again, the bigger story along the coast will be that high surf, and we do have a high surf advisory taking effect for the day on Tuesday. Inland, 66 with sunshine for your Tuesday, partly sunny and into the mid-60s Wednesday and Thursday. As we head into Friday, 64 with sunshine, more clouds building in as we kick off the weekend Saturday with a high temperature of 64 degrees. Now for the mountainous areas, that's where we will see the major impacts from that front. Couple of afternoon clouds and showers for your Wednesday. Otherwise, temperature is going to be chilly, with our daytime highs Tuesday through Thursday in the upper 40s. We'll break to the 50s on Friday, and then clouds building in for the day on Saturday. Looking for your 5-day outlook for the deserts, mostly sunny and 67 degrees on your Tuesday, partly sunny and quiet Wednesday into Thursday. Mix of clouds and sunshine on Friday with a high of 68 degrees, remaining in the upper 60s on Saturday, but more clouds building into the deserts as we kick off the weekend. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
Tens of thousands of gallons of sewage prompted city officials to close part of East Mission Bay. The spill started in Tecolote Canyon yesterday. More than 100,000 gallons of waste made it into the Tecolote Creek. It went through the golf course before it made it into Mission Bay, just north of the land bridge by Fiesta Island. The bridge was capped hours later. Parts of Tecolote Creek and East Mission Bay have been closed. Last week's El Niño downpours raised concerns for San Diego County's homeless who had no place to seek shelter. We'll soon get a good estimate of just how many people are on the streets. On January 29th, approximately 1,600 volunteers will scour the county by foot and car to get a head count of those living on the streets and in shelters. The census is conducted by the San Diego Regional Task Force on the Homeless. It's used to determine where to direct federal funds, as well as to identify strategies to alleviate homelessness. They are looking for more volunteers.
We need more people, more eyes counting the central part of the county and North County. And we, of those 300 that we need, 100 of them we need to specially train to interview homeless.
Last year's count found more than 8,700 homeless people. People who want to volunteer can register online on the San Diego Regional Task Force on the Homeless website. Dramatic video was released today of the military raid that preceded the capture of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Mexican officials say they have started the extradition process that will bring the drug kingpin to the U.S. Guzman faces drug trafficking in several U.S. jurisdictions, including San Diego. He is currently being held in Mexico in the same prison that he broke out of in July. Penn says he has nothing to hide about his secret meeting with Guzman that took place in October. The actor interviewed El Chapo for an article published in Rolling Stone over the weekend. Penn has been criticized for giving the fugitive editorial control of the piece. Mexican officials say it was Guzman's contact with Penn that helped them track him down in Sinaloa on Friday. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested a previously deported sex offender who was trying to enter the U.S. illegally. 42-year-old Octavio Mendoza was taken in about 32 miles east of the Calexico West port of entry. He was deported back in 2005. Last year, agents in the El Centro sector arrested 8 convicted sex offenders attempting to re-enter the United States after removal. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments today in a case that could deliver a major setback to American unions. The court is considering whether to continue to allow public sector labor organizations to collect fees from workers who don't want to join. The case was filed by a group of California teachers who say mandatory fees violate the free speech right of workers who disagree with the union's positions. On demand tomorrow night, the State of the Union. From Amazon to Snapchat, the president's address will hit several platforms to appeal to a demographic who may have cut the cord from cable and network television. Associated Press reporter Kelly Daschle takes a look at what we can expect from his final State of the Union address.
When President Barack Obama delivers his 7th and final State of the Union address Tuesday night, aides say it will take on a slightly different tone.
There's lots of accomplishments we can talk about. There certainly is a long list of things the president's looking forward to getting done next year. But what the focus of his speech will be, however, is on some longer-term issues.
While the president will lay out his top priorities for his last year in office, he plans to avoid a legislative laundry list and instead focus on the big picture and his vision for the nation's future, as he previewed in this YouTube video.
Not just what I want to get done in the year ahead, but what we all need to do together in the years to come. The big things that will guarantee an even stronger, better, more prosperous America for our kids.
I think it does become a little bit more of a legacy speech in terms of defining what has been achieved. So I would expect some Bill Clinton-esque talk about the economy and what the economy is doing. I think he'll tie to Obamacare and continue to try to kind of build that up and spin it.
With the rise of the Islamic State group and increasing tensions in the Middle East, foreign policy and national security will also feature prominently in this year's address.
Partly because it has become a leading issue in the presidential campaign, a leading concern in the American public, and he sees his foreign policy legacy as really vital.
Aides say the president will spend his last year focusing on legislative areas where he overlaps with Republicans, passing the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, for example, and reforming criminal justice laws. But Obama is also sure to continue his efforts on gun control and climate change, and push to close the Guantanamo Bay prison, which could require executive action.
And the State of the Union is strong.
The president will deliver his last State of the Union address at a time when much of the nation is focused on his departure and the campaign for his replacement. Still, the White House insists the president won't accept lame duck status in his final year and will fight to remain relevant. Kelly Daschle, Associated Press.
You can watch the president's final State of the Union address live on KPBS. The PBS NewsHour starts its special coverage tomorrow night at 6 p.m. On the health desk, UC San Diego and Sharp Healthcare have teamed up to create a joint liver transplantation program. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg explains hospital officials say the collaboration will enhance patient care.
Sharp has long had a kidney and heart transplant program, but when Sharp officials explored the idea of adding liver transplants to the mix, they found it would be too expensive. So they decided to join forces with UC San Diego to treat people with serious liver problems. Dan Gross, Sharp's executive vice president, says specialists in both systems have been working in silos.
And knocking down those silos and integrating the Sharp healthcare providers, the UCSD providers, will allow us to deal with this population in a much more time-efficient and high-quality manner.
Scripps and UCSD are the only hospital groups in San Diego that perform liver transplants. UCSD surgeons also do some pediatric cases at Rady Children's Hospital. Nationwide, livers are the second most transplanted organs after kidneys. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
NFL team owners are kicking off a two-day meeting in Houston tomorrow. They're set to decide which of the three teams trying to move to Los Angeles will be allowed to relocate. The Chargers want to share an LA stadium with the Oakland Raiders. While the St. Louis Rams have a stadium plan of their own, the NFL has a high bar for letting a team switch cities. 3/4 of the 32 team owners have to approve any relocation. Fans around the globe are mourning the death of David Bowie tonight. He died yesterday at age 69 after an 18-month battle with cancer. Associated Press reporter Sandy Kozel has more on the rock legend's long career.
Bowie. A rock and roll icon is gone. A representative confirmed on Monday that singer David Bowie died peacefully, surrounded by family. Bowie was born with the name David Jones. He first gained fame in the 1970s with a combination of innovative music and gender-bending looks. Bowie's most memorable songs include Fame, Heroes, and Let's Dance. Bowie turned 69 on Friday, the day he released a new album called Black Star. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
KPBS culture reporter Angela Carone talked with some local musician, critics, and DJs about the death of the music icon.
All day on social media, San Diegans have been expressing their shock and sadness over the death of David Bowie. San Diegan David Clouden remembers being 8 years old and seeing Bowie on TV for the first time. His parents were upstairs.
In this incredibly colorful, like, spacesuit outfit, and it was just mesmerizing, you know. And I ran upstairs, and I remember yelling, they're showing on TV what music is going to be like in the future.
Clouden was spot on. Throughout his career, it seemed Bowie could see the future before anyone else, transforming himself and his music into new and imaginative worlds. Bowie seldom performed in San Diego. He played 3 concerts here in the 70s. His last appearance was in 1991 as the lead singer of the band Tin Machine. They played 2 sold-out shows at Spreckles. Michael Halloran, program director at 91X, was at one of those shows.
And it was probably one of the loudest shows I've ever been to in my life. I mean, it was ear-splitting. All the band was dressed in suits, black suits, white shirt, black tie. And they walked out there like they were doing business. Like they walked up on stage and they just slayed.
Since 1996, the San Diego cover band Ziggy Shuffle Dust has paid tribute to Bowie's most famous alter ego, Ziggy Stardust. They're playing a tribute concert on Wednesday night at the Casbah. Angela Carone, KPBS News.
The La Jolla Town Council will announce a proposed solution tomorrow night to the problem of sea lions at the Cove. The council's coastal committee is looking to address both the noxious odors and the potentially dangerous interactions between people and the sea mammals. The public is encouraged to come to the special meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock at the La Jolla Community Center. San Diego SeaWorld is getting a makeover. The park is breaking ground on a 3-month renovation of the 3,500-seat Dolphin Stadium. Park officials say they also plan to expand the orca tanks, despite the California Coastal Commission approving the project only if SeaWorld no longer breeds captive killer whales. SeaWorld has since sued the commission. The health benefits of having an animal around the house have been well documented. But what about a whole zoo's worth? Utah's Hoggle Zoo is partnering with the San Diego Zoo to help young cancer patients better process their illness. We learn about how this team can help with the healing process in tonight's SciTech report.
San Diego Zoo Kids channel is a channel that exclusively shows animal programming, interviews with animal keepers, live feeds, and special shows designed just for this channel. So Hoggle Zoo and San Diego Zoo are partners with the San Diego Zoo Kids channel. How we're helping them out is by providing more programming for San Diego Zoo Kids. San Diego Zoo can only film so much on their beautiful locations, so they're starting to partner with other zoos, including Utah's Hoggle Zoo, so they can get more stories from around the United States. So San Diego Zoo Kids really likes to focus on animals that have medical backgrounds or are currently going through medical issues, because this is what helps kids connect to these animals that they see on the TV. So some of the stories that we give to them as an option include animals that have had medical problems or are currently going through some medical treatments. I think that kids and all people can really relate to the animals that surround them and that live in natural habitats and at the zoo. So if they see that an animal is injured, like maybe it broke a leg or maybe it has diabetes, and maybe that kid has diabetes, they can relate right back to the animal, and they understand that they aren't the only one feeling this way or feeling sick, and other animals feel that way too. I think that having this connection can really help healing and help them understand their own situation better.
My name is Joshua Schiffman. I am a professor in the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Utah. I'm also a pediatric hematologist oncologist at Primary Children's Hospital. As part of my collaboration and partnership with the Hogle Zoo, I was asked to be on their Zoo Channel video. This is the channel that the kids are able to watch while they're hospitalized. Now when I round on the patients and I walk in, they say, "Hey, you're the elephant doctor. I saw you on the TV." And it's really a very fun experience to be able to have something else to talk about with these patients besides how sick they're feeling and how the chemotherapy is causing side effects. Now we can focus a little bit on the research and science that may one day get them better.
Ronald McDonald House provides a home away from home for families who have a seriously ill or injured child. The Zoo Channel brings the natural world inside to children who may not have the opportunity to visit a zoo. Many of the families who come and stay with us are coming from small rural towns throughout the Intermountain area, and many of those communities don't have a zoo, and many of the families who come here have never been to a zoo. So for those families that have a child that may be immune compromised, who can't physically visit a local zoo, the Zoo Channel quite literally brings the natural world and animals to them. The Zoo Channel can be healing, therapeutic, it's a diversion for children, and it just brings pure joy and connectedness for kids and families who may need that.
My name is Stacia Jones, and this is Taylor Jones, my husband Brayden Jones. Taylor was diagnosed with leukemia on March 31st. It was really hard because, you know, she'd never been in the hospital before. She wanted to go home. She couldn't leave her room because she had rhinovirus, and we all struggled with it. Every time we would turn it to that channel, she would always point to the animals. We've only been to the zoo maybe one time. She'd always point to the animals and she'd be like, "What's that? What's that?" I'd tell her and she'd try to say elephant or lion or something like that. But she really enjoyed watching the Zoo Channel.
My role in the San Diego Zoo Kids program has been to look at the initial implementation of the program in a children's hospital and a Ronald McDonald House. We looked at how well children received the channel, what they liked about it, as well as the reactions of their parents and the caregivers in that setting. In surveys received from 20 individual caregivers who had observed children watching the San Diego Zoo Kids channel, 95% of the caregivers observed that kids appeared to be enjoying watching the program. 84% said that the channel provided a helpful distraction, distracting them away from the reason they were in the hospital. And 100% felt that the channel provided something enjoyable for them to focus on aside from their visit to the hospital.
One other thing that's been so exciting with this partnership with the zoo is now when I go in and I talk to new patients who've just been diagnosed with cancer, and I sit down and I look at their families and I'm able to tell them, "Hey, did you know we're actually working with the Hogle Zoo?" Their eyes get really wide and they get these big grins on their faces. There's nothing like connecting the zoo to patients and to these kids who are in some of the most challenging times that anyone could possibly go through. Imagine a new diagnosis of cancer, and to be able to come in and start discussing the zoo and that we're working with the zoo to help them get better. There's really nothing quite like it.
You can find more stories like this on SciTech Now, airing Sundays at 5:30 p.m. here on KPBS Television. Playing some defense. Changes may be on the way to the fantasy sports industry in California. A bill proposed last week requires fantasy sports companies to hold permits to be able to offer their services. But a larger debate on whether fantasy sports is an illegal form of gambling may take center stage at the state capitol.
Making hundreds of millions and projected to make billions of dollars. They want to keep things exactly how they are, and that means not have it be regulated as gambling. But it's gambling.
Voters may need to weigh in if state officials decide online fantasy sports is illegal gambling.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, ahead of the college football championship, we explore what concussions do to players. That's Monday on the PBS News Hour.
You are more likely to be hit by lightning, but no one can resist a $1 billion Powerball jackpot. The jackpot is now a world record high $1.4 billion, and officials say that number will likely soar even higher between now and Wednesday's drawing. Californians have until 7 p.m. on Wednesday to buy a Powerball ticket. The drawing is at 8 p.m. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, a changing of the guard at the state capitol, electing the next leader of the California Assembly. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.